Welcome back to another rapid response video. Today's subject is if you had to choose a superhero who has yet to be adapted in a live-action DC film, who would it be? Now, I'm actually going to take this one step further, and it's not just about who should be adapted in a live-action DC film. I'm going to give you guys a list of characters who I believe deserves their own movie or show. Making movies and shows outside of the mainstream superheroes or the mainstream teams like Teen Titans or Justice League can be a little hard because not everyone knows who you're dealing with, and not everyone cares to see movies or projects that surround other characters. With that being said, let me give you 8 characters that I personally think deserve and would be very interesting or intriguing to watch in a live action film of their own or their own TV show. So one of the first characters on the list is Nightwing. I know we most recently had him appear in the Titans show where he was absolutely the main character. However, that wasn't necessarily just a show on Nightwing, it was about everyone, of course. Nightwing could greatly benefit from his own show because not only would you get the fan base who absolutely loves this character, he's probably the most popular legacy character of anyone in DC. You're also giving people a flavor of Batman while giving them a tonally different character in Dick Grayson who will operate a little differently. Now, the Titans show, in my opinion, and I think it is probably the popular opinion, is not that good. I had a bit of a guilty pleasure with it. I knew it wasn't all that great, but for some reason, I still loved watching it. The way they handled Dick Grayson and Nightwing in that show, I actually thought was really good, more or less. And if you could get some sort of HBO budget and setting, make a Nightwing show out of it, I don't think there would be many people disappointed. The next character is the Question, no question about it. This is a perfect character that allows you to remove yourself from all of the higher end superheroes, all of the crazy supernatural properties that surrounds the DC universe, all while slightly referencing the rest of the universe around him. This show could be modeled after True Detective, and we could watch the Question go around unraveling secrets and mysteries and also unpacking the truth about conspiracies. I'm a sucker for good mystery thrillers. Prisoners, Gone Girl, Zodiac. So a Question project, more primarily a TV show, would be right up my alley. Next is Batman Beyond, and this is a character that over the years has had some love in forms of media, especially animation, but we've never had anything live action in which so many people have been begging for this character to be adapted in live action for a long time. I think the best course of action would be to make this a movie series. You would probably make it a trilogy. 100% Bruce Wayne would be returning, and you would need to get a Michael Keaton, a Christian Bale, a Ben Affleck to return as an old man Bruce Wayne who is now training Terry McGinnis. I think the certain perspective you could take with these movies would be really neat because yes, we are all familiar with Batman, but we are getting such a unique and special look at Batman considering it's the future. It's Neo Gotham. The city is going to look a lot different. His villains are going to look a lot different and simply be different characters as a whole. Even his suit will not be the same as your usual Bruce Wayne. I think you could also do some very interesting things where the movie could show you certain instances of how this particular Bruce Wayne knew he had to retire. What are some of the relationships he had with people in the past that he has lost in the future? What type of Bruce Wayne is this character now? I think you have a very interesting dynamic where Terry is the new Batman and Bruce Wayne is almost his Alfred. And I just have to throw this out there. Warner Brothers in recent history has done a lot of brain dead and, in my opinion, unforgivable things when it comes to the DC universe. One of their biggest fumbles has to be this Batman Beyond animated movie, in which they flat out told the writer-director of Into the Spider-Verse there's no way we can do a Batman Beyond movie. And I will forever hold this against them. Next is Zatanna, which I think would be best suited for a TV show. She is the perfect character on the magical side of DC that will allow you to connect with the main character because Zatanna is very likable, is also a fantastic window into the rest of the magical universe in the DC universe. Zatanna also has a lot of connections with other very popular DC characters that could show up in her shows from time to time, someone like John Constantine. She also has a connection with a lot of the big Justice League characters, someone like Batman. And if the goal is to get more people watching DC, getting them into more magical properties, you could have her build up all these other characters in which you could get to a Justice League Dark. Then I have Martian Manhunter, and in all honesty, I don't necessarily know where I would go, TV show or movie. Probably TV show would make the most financial sense, but it would be very neat to showcase who Martian Manhunter was before Martian Manhunter. Who is J'onn J'onzz? Who is his alien form truly? I think you could do something really cool where maybe even if you did a season 1 of a TV show, the entire story could take place about what happened on Mars. Eventually, you could get to who he is now as Martian Manhunter, member of the Justice League. You could have another detective type show since that is technically his day job, and you could even feature things where he takes on particular cases and he uses the expertise that maybe he would use on Mars, maybe even some things he's seen on Mars and how he translates that to Earth in doing his job. I know getting people to be interested in Martian Manhunter might be a little difficult, but considering he's one of the biggest DC characters out there, he's part of the Justice League or has been part of many iterations of the Justice League, the character definitely deserves some mainstream love. Next, I have Etrigan. Once again, this brings in the magical tone of the DC universe. More than that, there would be a medieval flavor to this. And once again, I am a sucker for the medieval fantasy. I like really good medieval stories. This story could be equal parts modern day and the 6th century. You could bring this back to his past, which he's definitely a character who would need that for a general audience. You could maybe show a storyline. He's trying to remember who he was before the demon Etrigan bonded with him in the 6th century. Was he some sort of priest? Was he a warrior? Was he of high nobility and royalty? And you could see this mystery unravel to how he became bonded with Etrigan and what his goals are now in the modern world. And yes, they would need to find a way around all of his rhyming he does when he speaks. I don't think that would be something that would be able to persist. Maybe he only does it every once in a while. That would have to be changed. Now I have, believe it or not, Lobo. I don't know how many people would actually like this. Maybe some people just think he would be better suited for an appearance in a movie or a villain to Superman or whatever it might be. But I think a space exploration story, Lobo goes around taking on bounties and jobs, is exactly something that I would want to see from the character. Now, of course, you would need to develop a story in which it becomes more than that. I think he would need to take on some sort of bounty that takes him on this rabbit hole adventure that he never thought he would have had to have done in the first place. And if you want this Lobo to be, I guess you could say, more anti-hero than villain, Lobo is still going to be ruthless with the people he's going after, but he does have a soft spot for maybe other characters you could present in the show, or maybe even innocent bystanders where he won't do certain things as aggressively when other people are around. A Lobo show is another way you could reference other DC properties and just the DC universe as a whole. Make it known to the audience about Kryptonians and Superman, Supergirl, or the Green, Red, Yellow Lantern Corps. You can do a lot with this. Last but not least, we have Deathstroke, which which is also another show I'm not sure how many people would like to see, but I know I would. Now, it all depends. If you made a Nightwing show, I'm pretty sure one of those seasons, Deathstroke would be the main villain. If not, he would be the main villain of multiple seasons. If all of these shows and movies were happening at the same time, Deathstroke would have his own show, and eventually he would show up in the Nightwing show, and you would just have these shows going simultaneously. I still think that Deathstroke is the coolest mercenary in the DC universe. He's one of the best fighters and strategists out there. I am absolutely okay with watching a show dedicated to an anti-villain, and it would definitely be a very big change considering we're always used to watching these heroes thwart villains at the end of it. Well, in this situation, you would be watching a villain thwart certain heroes. You would be actually rooting for a villain to defeat the good guys, which I think is always a very interesting dynamic to have. This is a completely different show and a completely different character, not even relatable to Slade Wilson, but think, for example, we all know Joe is a bad guy, deserves to be in prison, but there's something about watching the show that you are avidly cheering for him and wanting him to get away in the end. And I think that is something you could potentially do with Deathstroke. You might have to do things with the character where he isn't completely careless and only does things for money. You might need to get his family even loosely involved to show that even he has a heart, but I definitely think there's ways that it can be done. There it is, 8 characters that I think deserve live action adaptations and representation in either movie or show. So you guys let me know in the comments what you think, and if there are other characters I did not mention that you personally believe deserve a TV show or a film. But that is all I have for you on this video, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it, and until the next time, I will talk to you all very soon.